With KARN and Co, as I think every single game or league or whatever you want to call it, it's been about defending their honor as a team. Obviously, in Xenon, they haven't done very well. They made Wildcard restart. That was also, I think, because there's a big gap in between the KARN & Co teams and then the rest of everybody else. KARN & Co can put their stock into Wildcard Restart. That's got a lot more money. They can really show up there and then come over here and hopefully be the team that we know that they can be, given what they have performed as in the past. The question is, will they show up in this game?
Massive question indeed, as they have struggled to show up through other games thus far through the start of this season. KARN & Co been a rough start for them as they won their last game against Boastville 7-7-4, fortunately enough. But that was after a couple of rough losses earlier on in the season up against Thrive and the Unks, as they're up against CHAWK at G so far today. CHAWK at G, much more of a pug stack kind of roster, coming in today with, we think, the roster of Schmink, Gekyu, Spider, HUD, and Nilek. Overall stats, pretty solid. 42% on the attack. Not great, but not bad. 52% on the defense. Not great, but also not too bad. And that kind of describes their season as a whole. They're in 4th place, dead in the middle. Not having a great season, but not having a bad one.
Yeah, they're kind of just middling, given where they are. You've only lost twice. I think you've got those 3 wins. You're still in the positive, and you'd like to stay there. And on paper, you are favored up against KARN & Co. There's 5 more points in between you and your opponent. KARN's only won 1 game, while you've won 3. The players, I think, on CHAWK might not have as good of a reputation when it comes to playing in the game, but I think as a team so far in this event, they've shown that they can be better than KARN & Co.
They can be. Will they be, though, is a big question, because when you look at the players on KARN & Co.'s lineup, you have ample reason to be afraid. Carnage B, the only one, along with Nick, who's never been in Pro League, although a little bit of an asterisk next to that fact, because I believe he was on the Mirage team that didn't actually exist. But otherwise, Asian, Rice, and Vertical, all with Pro League level experience, having been to a multitude of big in-person events, at least for Rice and Vert. Rice went to a major, Vert's gone to LANs in the past. Unusual to see Vertical in particular at this low T3 level, but still as good of a player that you've seen play so well, but those stats seem to tell a very different story than the names that are telling.
Yeah, I mean, with Vertical, KARN & Co is a T2 team, so I think even though this might be a T3 event, by all means, he's still
all right
in
That's
the
fair.
T3 sphere.
I mean, he's just been hovering in Pro League for a while, though, so it's weird to see him on any T2 team at all.
He wants to play.
I know.
Like, there's an option where
Passion.
roster lock, I believe, is, what was it, 2 days?
Sunday? I want to say it's Sunday. Or,
It's
I don't know.
very, very close. If there's
2
no
days sounds right.
talks around Vertical, then, which I don't believe there is, given any of the rumors, and you want to keep playing Siege, here's your bet. Here's what you do. You just keep playing Siege, keep showing that you have a place in Siege in general, and then maybe you get called up, or you just play to play. Play to get that spark back, play to have fun with friends, just play. And I think that's really all, at least what it seems from the outside, Vertical wants to do.
And so, with KARN & Co. being a much more well-known, together kind of squad, and CHAWK G seemingly, for the time being more of a pug stack, it remains to be seen what maps we end up on, but it makes sense that Nighthaven and Consulate, maps like that, taken off the board by CHAWK. Meanwhile, well, Chalet ends up getting taken off. KARN also banned Cafe. We end up on Bank, though, a map that at one point KARN seemed unbeatable on. But they've, that iteration of that roster has since come and gone. Remains to be seen whether or not this current iteration is also very good on Bank. CHAWK at G, you'd also think this map goes against what you want to do as a pug stack, right? Because of how big it is, it can be very difficult to clear. And as a result, maybe not the map that you wanted to end up on. However, they had 4 opportunities to ban other maps, so I'm sure that if it was really that much of a concern for them, they would have taken it off the board.
Yeah, that's the thing. You've got a best of 1. This isn't a best of 3 where some of your bad maps might get left on the table and you have to take that risk. No, you can slowly whittle it down where you do have some control over where you're going and how good you are on that selective map, unless you are just god awful at map banning. And I think the players on CHAWK have been in here long enough that they know generally what they're doing. So going up against a KARN team that is not the bank warlords that we once thought of them in E1 and in E2, I think while there might be a risk going into bank, I think it's very minimal compared to maybe what you and I are thinking.
Yeah, and so even given that we know that, you know, KARN have played on this map plenty, CHAWK not sure what their experience is on this map. However, we do have one map to go off of. They beat the Unks on it 8-7. And now you look at the roster, you think about the team name the Unks, it doesn't necessarily have the same notoriety to it as KARN. However, the Unks had a very good season. They went total 4-2 with 1 OT win and 1 OT loss. That was one of the only 2 games they lost at all through the group stage. The other one being to Thrive, a very formidable opponent. This is a team that actually beat KARN in their head-to-head. So being able to beat them proves that you're pretty solid on this map, and it seems to be a very comfortable territory for CHAWK. So I respect them for heading to this map. They want to take Monty off of the board, and KARN would like to take Dokkaebi out as well. Makes a lot of sense given how big the map is. Monty can help expedite some of those roam clears, and so too can Dokkaebi. Also, with the prevalence of Valk, you don't want to leave the opportunity to hack those cams on the board. And so, with the Kaid getting taken off of the board, and those hatches now much more difficult to open than before, it seems the general theme for the attacker bans was trying to slow down some of the clearing of the map, but the Valkyrie taken off as well. So now that the Dokkaebi was taken out, CHAWK want to make sure that there are no cams in many of the crevices of the map. And so with that, bank will begin.
Your CHAWK starting on the defense. Basement is kind of a no-brainer. This is the one site on the map where it is just good. There's no 2 ways around it. You bring a smoke, a Goya, maybe a smoke and a Mira, smoke, Mira, Goya. There's so many combination of plant dial and time wasting that you can bring that the defense has to deal with it. Like there's no way that as an attack you can essentially ignore that little cubby where the Goya canisters go, where the smoke goes, where the mirror goes, because that is always going to be where the plant comes from. It's still a risk to potentially go for a vault hatch drop, maybe an elevator drop, because you can't really control how the defense is surrounding those hatches itself. The best place to go, and even then, it's still not great, just go for the default plant. It's why you're going to see KARN bring out that Twitch. It's why you're going to see them potentially bring out the Candelas as well to put themselves in the best possible situation with the most amount of time to get the diffuser down.
It seems like that's going to be the main thing that CHAWK want to prevent with this defense. The only one really running anything that can run around outside the objective is Reapers, who we didn't have on the roster, but Reapers playing the Vigil with a Boss G. That's the only operator I could really see running around too many different spots on the map. And with this full roam clear, including Asian on the Jackal, that Vigil presence probably not going to be as effective as it could be. However, I do like the bringing of a Vigil, even if it's just going to be sitting towards Archives, Tellers, Square, and playing a lot more passive, because for a team like KARN & Co., they already go slow enough as it is. That's been the story with a lot of these KARN & Co. rosters. Just seeing the Vigil marks may waste 20 to 30 seconds of that attack as they're trying to make sure that they know exactly where the Vigil is, and obviously he's very good at preventing you from knowing exactly where he is. Is Asian going to take down HUD first off? Good trade back from Reapers, and almost another kill for Schmink, but not quite able to kill Asian as he walks into Janitor. So instead, a 4 versus 4. With this roam still very much alive and well, Reapers getting tracked down inside of Archives. Has to try and walk up the square stairs, and this, a problem for KARN & Co. is it's likely not expected. Candela in though, and he's going to be flushed out real quick. And likely try and just head back to the site. And there it is. The open hatch going to be dropped, and all these players are going to get back.
It's all beneficial for Karn. Goyo canisters popped. Smoke gone. I think the mirror windows are still there, but it's still you do your best to kind of set up an angle so that any potential C4s are taken out with players just holding that angle. With the minute remaining as well, this is great for Karn and Co. I think this is really what you want from an attack. They do see a Goyo canister there, but the Twitch drone will actually be recharging, and that might be able to be popped just before CHAWK really wants to, which will give Karn and Co about maybe 20 seconds. But as time slowly dwindles, that Goyo canister will eventually get taken care of, and that is when Karn and Co can truly strike. There you go. You see the fire on the floor. This is always what you expect from this site, is that it will come down to those final single digits.
Sadly, HUD was the only defender who's died. HUD playing the smoke. Very rough loss this early on. Spider ready for this drop of the hatch, and seemingly about to happen from Karn. Not quite yet, though, and now they'll have the defense ready, looking at a very far back angle of the site, without Karn really making himself an active threat. And even once he does, he's done his job. Didn't necessarily kill anybody, but he wasted so much time that the defenders could have spent denying that plant. So instead, the plant is going to go down with Vertical ready to try and watch that flank. That's exactly what he's about to get. That flank is what he's looking for, but Schmick actually going to walk all the way up the marble stairs. Drone, though, is able to spot that out. Nick with one, Rice with another. And this hold in the post plant going exactly as Karn and Co would have liked it too. Schmick, the only one left alive, has to stay wary of Vertical inside of open area. He isn't quite. Too many things to worry about. Not nearly enough time to deal with all of them there for Schmick.
As difficult as it is for that site to attack, once you get the diffuser down, it kind of flips. There's so many angles that you can take as the attack when it comes to hashes, dirt, stairs that are unplanned from the defense. They're not going to have a lot of information. It's really hard to win that post-plant situation, and for Karn and Co to take care of a lot of the preliminary objectives, like smoke gone off the board, not even a single canister used. The black mirror on the pink fire alarm hallway is popped as well. All of the good things that needed to happen on that attack happened. And it's no wonder that they got the diffuser down, and boom, 3 players left alive. Seemingly pretty easy for this team. And CHAWK, they're just going to run it back. Every single person playing the exact same operator, exact same site, exact same guns. How is HUD going to play this differently? Because I think a lot of it rely on HUD dying, which then just ease so much pressure off the attack, because that is so much time that they have to worry about, less worry about, and just a lot of health that they don't have to worry about as well.
I think also you could say, how is Reaper's going to play this one differently? He was the one who traded out Asian, or ended up trading out HUD rather, by killing Asian right after HUD had died, so presumably dying on the square hatch. So Reapers could possibly play that a little differently, be a little bit more active, try and play lesser out himself. But in this case, actually going to clear out square first so they know this server is clean. And I like that smoke too, because it prevents anybody from being able to actively threaten you as you walk into the bomb site. So now it looks really solid in terms of this control early for Karn, but they don't go for the rush. Instead, they've kind of given up some of that square control. It's really just Vertical holding that upstairs side of things. They're still able to hold on to some of that control actively. However, they have drones in position that can see that the control of staff is still theirs for the time being. So it's no execute quite yet, just some very early quick control. And KARN and Co trying to make sure they drone out their next steps.
I mean, after not, I don't know if it's any idea about that. I think Reapers also has not been droned out. Very, very sneaky in that open area. But if KARN and Co already you've taken care of one smoke canister, got potentially another one on the board. That's another, I think Gek through the C4, did not detonate it. Now is just waiting behind that. Okay, there's that C4. That's going to pop a lot of canisters, but the Black Mirror is traded as well. KARN and Co have dealt with so much utility it's once again, everything is really going their way. All they have to do is clearing out this preliminary person that is Gek just holding the angle.
Here, there could be a slight issue, though, if they have that small office hatch open. If that's open, and they can look into the CCTV bomb site, then I'm starting to think this may not be such a great spot for KARN & Co. And the Candelas, well, shades of last game, as these seem to be blinding nobody but the attackers, as Gekyu on Warden staring right at them. Asian able to get the kill on the Reapers, that's a good one. Just shore up your flank a little bit longer while you can. Vertical also holding the flank, so playing double the flank watch. Not just playing it on the Nomad, but also making sure that they won't get flanked at that. Interesting Asian, the one in open area, playing around the hatch as this whole roam has completely fallen back, and the aggressive play from Gekyu isn't going to go anywhere. KARN with great cover, and that hatch still closed, so no chance at getting any angles in unless you walk fully into the bomb site. And as they try to make that happen, every single member of the defense getting walked down by KARN & Co. Spider not able to see anything, but still, once he's unblinded, is able to see that he's got that frag. Kill feed going their way for just a moment in time, but Rice steps into the picture and downs the last two. Spider will fall, and another great attacking round of the basement for KARN & Co.
Call KARN & Co. Pink Floyd fans, the way they love time right there. Started getting rid of all the utility, and I think I thought that was pretty cool. I like that. What?
I like it. It's good. I'm not a huge Pink Floyd guy, so I don't totally get it. But you know what?
Time is a song on their Dark Side of the Moon album.
Oh, it's just a song. It doesn't say Love Time. They say they
no,
love time.
They
in the
love
song?
time. Time is the name of the song.
Well, maybe you don't necessarily love it. Time if you name a song. I feel like you name song thing you don't like.
Sorry. Have you listened to the album, the song?
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep.
Don't question.
Just keep going.
Don't question my metaphor. Time was a big thing there. That's what I'm trying to say. KARN & Co. sat there, staring at the smoke, staring at the fire. 45 seconds left on the board. They don't have to rush. They can just wait for that to dissipate, get the diffuser down. There's going to be nothing else to really stop them from getting that diffuser down, because then all you're going to have is Gek watching and just slowly pushing forward. And I think the rest of KARN & Co. are clearly going to have that angle. And if CHAWK can't win the basement side with all of the time and utility soak that site is really, really known for, it's going to be difficult to win the rest of the map.
Well, this one, not nearly going to be as much of a time soak. Could still be a util soak in and of itself, but really only holding on that second floor are CHAWK it. So it makes sense that KARN & Co. might have maybe a little more success into this side, because there's less control that you have to get, and if they tend to trip themselves up anywhere, it's in establishing control of things that aren't the objective itself. We've seen them with two very clinical executes 2 rounds in a row, and CHAWK it G being more of a pug stack, not having been together too long, and playing with the Reapers in, who I don't believe is a permanent member of the team. Just everything pointing at maybe not having the coordination you need to hold up against a KARN & Co. execute. And this site really just kind of an execute, as there's not too much control you need to take before you're just right into the bomb site itself. So far, KARN & Co. not really taking too much of it. They're just kind of establishing the early angles they need on rappels and windows, and just making sure it's annoying to play inside the site for now.
Where's the first entry going to come from KARN & Co.? Got Vert on the window. Your next logical step is either going to be a printer hop in or red stairs walk up. Most of KARN & Co., they have that square balcony covered. Asian's just going to creep on in. There are a lot of angles being covered. I think KARN & Co. aren't... time may not be their best friend in this round, given how 2/3 of the round has already slipped by, and only now are they really pushing forward that utility, maybe taking a bit of space. I mean, they walked into the building, 20 seconds ago? It's going to be really difficult to take control of everything else when you're really trying to rush forward. There's nothing pushing Spiders back. It's just going to be the watch, clearing out all that smoke, giving CHAWK a lot of area to work with.
He's just sitting in there. They can't do anything about him. Looks like KARN and Co, the util dump this time, really not flushing Spider out. The Wardens have been consistently good against them. But much like last round, the Warden being able to see where the attack's coming from is about all that CHAWK are going to get out of that round at all. As KARN and Co with 3 straight kills, Reapers and Schmink way further away than everybody else is from the site. Good trade from Schmink, another kill from Reapers. Now he's left up in a 1 versus 3. 8 HP left on Rice. That could possibly be an easier kill. He's also got the live ping on him, but doesn't know that Asian is right around the corner in Janitor. And so the ace will close it right there. 3-0 start for KARN and Co as they are dominating this bank attack half.
And they look like they know what they're doing. And I think that's the difference. KARN and Co, their attacks look like they have purpose. I think the third round was the closest they're going to get from maybe there is a flawed attack here, but CHAWK had a flawed enough defense where I think the weak attack still isn't going to do enough. I think we have a bit of a tech pause here. I think you're saying HUD, someone's game might have crashed to their HUD or GEX. So we're chilling. We get to talk about how KARN and Co are just absolutely dominating. Okay, we're back. Chill, we're balling.
Shortest tech pause ever.
Very, very quick. Like, that game crashed and immediately loaded back up. I've never seen that before in my life. This game takes 7 years to boot up.
But we love it anyways.
That is debatable.
Oh, you gotta love it. Come on. Anyway, it does take a long time for me to boot it up, too. It's probably just because I play on a laptop. But anyways.
Okay. Well,
what?
You got your own issues if you're playing on a laptop.
I'm a college student. Half the year I'm in one spot, the other half the year I'm in the other. I would like something that allows me to take it to and fro. Anyways, KARN up 3-0, and so far it hasn't even really felt close in a lot of those rounds. CHAWK G do have a couple members on the board, but it's really just been impactless frags. Like last round, 2 rounds ago, Spider was able to get 1 on the board. Last round, Reaper's able to hop on the board. Schmink's gotten 1 or 2 of those kills. Like last round and the round before. Both of his kills in 2v5s, I believe. So really just not super impactful, and you already are on the wrong end of the diffuser plant, as KARN and Co have planted the diffuser every single round thus far. So maybe just a thought to CHAWK that you need to try and do something actively a little sooner to prevent them from really getting the control that they're gathering to then make the play. However, when they're trying to do things actively, KARN and Co are ready for it perfectly. So we're not even totally sure what CHAWK G can do. It just feels like KARN and Co are playing into the exact kind of team that they wanted to play into. And Nick gonna break that stock shield open, so nice and easy for him.
Mine seem to be going a little quicker as well than usual. Effective the attack the second time around. Here's the thing with CHAWK's defenses. We've seen they've done the same thing twice, and both times it seemed like KARN and Co are just allowed to perfect their attack. Like, okay, that we saw what they were bringing the first time. We get to perfectly formulate our attack to crush them the second time around. And if Gek doesn't find anything over in stock and instead gets shredded so far, him and HUD sitting at 0-3. I think the most of CHAWK really struggling in the frag market, but the team is struggling in general. It's not a surprise they aren't doing that well so far. Drones being stopped. Utility is still up for this defense. KARN strikes. It's Reapers off the board. But as long as HUD is still here and the C4 is still in the pocket of CHAWK, I think there's still a chance.
It just feels like the mentality right now for KARN and Co is just sit back, lay in wait, and they'll eventually try and make the play. And you can kill them while they do that. Spider able to kill Rice, though. A double kill for Spider. Finally, the first one all game to really step up against an attack. But Gekyu's been downed inside his stock, and not too many teammates nearby to support him. So, it should go back to a 3 versus 3, but just kind of playing with that Packer clip mentality of swinger be swung, you will get powered, but this time the powering actually works to an extent for CHAWK. And we find ourselves in a 3 versus 3. Wouldn't be a KARN attack, though, if they didn't wait until the very last moment to actually make an execute happen. With KARN himself on the windows, trying to hold some of those cutoffs and cover for a plant. Maybe try and open up into Janitor So Spider has to worry about his backside, but he's getting swung on from the hallway. He's getting every single one, even the player on the window. Spider with an ace, and he shuts the whole attack down in style.
The team is struggling. Player just pulls them out of the depths. A 4K, an ace, just to get them back in the game. Love to see it from Spider. But now the difficult part happened. They go back down to the basement. Both of the times the team has been here, it's not gone well. Even though this site is so good for the DVET. Like, it is really, really good, especially if you know what you're doing. But KARN are able to use vertical and the charges that Asian has, really good. Like, the utility is just gone with a snap of their fingers. I think the mute, either you need to utilize that well, you need to use the Mozzie, shut down vertical, shut down the drones. That is the go-to for this KARN GB team. I think you swap Reapers onto the Mozzie, make it so that it's less centered around the player itself and centered around the team. Because so far, Reapers just, especially on this basement site roam, has not been good enough where you can justify the Vigil. The Vigil isn't doing enough. I think CHAWK are potentially staring at another loss if they're not going to adapt. The only real thing is the Tuberal and the Lesion, which, I mean, are those big enough changes to justify going here again? Reapers hanging out there is a big risk. I mean,
well, risk he's seemingly willing to take, and I like that, right? Last round works well because you're able to challenge KARN & Co. before they get set up for their execute. In the case of Spider, that's rough, KARN. That's just rough, buddy. Unlucky. 2 Candelas popped already, by the way, and nothing really done with either of them. Unfortunately, for the attack, that's utility you won't get back. But still, I like that idea from Reapers. Just try and play an aggro spot early. Hope they won't drone you out. KARN is a team that you can't really bank on that happening a lot against. They will typically drone really, really well. Nick and Schmink go 1 for 1, and then Reapers is able to trade it. So a great job to CHAWK it, doing exactly what I had hoped they were going to do. Playing aggressive, meeting KARN at the rim. They may be the basketball team in their logo, but very uncomfortable in the paint, it would seem, as CHAWK it absolutely stuffs that roam clear early.
you could tell, especially Verge running on in, they were expecting pretty much the same thing. And with CHAWK relying a bit more on that vertical to be in the faces of this team, so far, halfway through the round, seems to be working. But how is this going to fare within the late round? Something that this site is very, very reliant on, because you use the most of the round to set up for this exact play. There is 4 hard breach charges in the pocket of KARN & Co. So it's really not going to be a worry because there's not much contention on the actual wall itself. And I don't think Gek is in a position. Yeah, there's really no tuberals that can be thrown to prevent this wall from getting open. So the angle is there. The DMR is going to be a very, very deadly threat all the way over from Garage. And I don't think KARN have the bodies to actually deal with that. It's mainly just going to be reliant on vertical smokes to mask this approach.
Oh no, what?
Carnage getting dropped all the way from Garage. There's Gek.
Let me tell you that. Let me tell you what. The first 2 rounds on this site, they had a mirror window on that wall, so that long angle wasn't nearly as viable as it is now. That adaptation from CHAWK at G just netted them a knockdown, and it's also going to make this execute way harder, because in the past, you had KARN able to drop the red hatch and not get punished for it. But now, it's going to be way harder to drop that hatch without getting punished immediately, because there's a player in Garage. You have Spider right here, and there doesn't seem to be much of an active threat coming from the CCTV hatch at all, so the attackers really kind of bottlenecking themselves with it just right, or with just vertical, trying to find a unique way into the site. KARN and Vert, though, able to get 1 kill each. The diffuser needs to start going down, though, but it wasn't able to. He was right where he needed to be, but he just couldn't get it down. What? I don't know what happened, but KARN & Co. should have had it.
I think I'm confused too. That Tushy was in the site. We saw it. on the after action replay. Ying was firmly in that site, and yet nothing. I think it was possible for KARN to win that, especially with the coverage coming from that hatch. I can't tell if it's the game being weird, if Carnage was literally like an inch from being able to plant the diffuser, or it was just the input lag from the keyboard. There's a lot of what ifs going on inside of that site. We can talk about CHAWK, the adaptation you mentioned. On point. Perfect. What you want to see from a team that has already gone here twice and been smacked right in the face. They eased their foot off the gas when it came to what you usually expect from the site, which is going to be plant denial, and instead focused on the roam, which is something that KARN and Co. had kind of done pretty lazily, because they didn't expect much given what we saw on those first two sites. But then you see Reapers, you see Spider, there they are striking back. Schmink as well. They were there to take the first fangs into KARN and Co.'s neck. Clearly that was enough to actually disrupt them.
And generally meeting them as soon as they tried to get into the bomb site worked as well, because it just slowed KARN and Co. down a little bit. It's very clear that the weak point of these defenses for CHAWK G is the site anchors themselves. Last round, almost losing a pretty solid 4v2 spot, just because your anchoring situations are really, really rough. But that's the kind of challenging you don't want to do. Reapers overextends massively. And I don't know if he ever either tried to swing the player on Canto Repel, or just, or not Canto Repel, but just that outside repel. Compass isn't there, so I don't know what direction it is. But that direction, where vertical is, or if he just so happened to get caught rotating. But either way, big mistake. And that man advantage is in favor of KARN & Co., which could be a big thing for them later on.
Fortunate to see Reapers, who had a very difficult start to the game, definitely bounced back, especially that last round. Gone early. That's going to allow KARN & Co. to just wreak havoc on the floor. It feels like this type of site is what Ram was built for. Look at that wood flooring. Eco-friendly veneer. I know that's like at this point, that's like a dead meme with the lifespans that memes have, but Asian has so much floor to cover that even Ram can't do all of it. So then it falls onto Rice, the breaching charges, as well, to potentially get anything done. It's going to be enough to push a bit of CHAWK back. You see the Candela wasn't exactly where KARN wanted it to be. He might bank it off of the wall this time. And just look where Schmink has to be to find a potential safe spot, to get an angle on any drop that might actually happen from KARN. The drop is there. The info is there as well.
But not quite the kills. Schmink with a great shot and a nick. And that's going to shut down that play real quick. They have to rotate somebody over to the printer window. Somebody in elevator, though, is going to be a problem. And Vertical, ready to solve the issue that is Schmink. Now the drop can come through into the site, and HUD can't do anything about it because he's not quite where he needs to be. Plank going down for KARN, not only denied by the Maestro, but denied by Gekyu, walking in from small office and taking 2 kills himself. Good trade back, though, as that info on Gekyu's position used to their advantage. But this Maestro still alive, and so too is Spider with his C4 in hand. This could get dangerous, but the walk-up marble completely denied by Vert, who's looking for 4. Spider has to make something happen. Doesn't quite win the fight on the Beepers player, though. And so it's 4 kills to the Twitch, and a great attack from KARN & Co. to make sure that they don't completely fall off in the second half of the first half.
Meister, this is one of these sites that you'll see Meister on. Unfortunately for him, the more bubbles you have, the more evil eyes you have, the easier it is for a Brava to hack it. So you can have what would be considered amazing evil eye. You have it little right above the double door frame on open area. You get so much view. You can zap any potential planters that are going down. And then Brava comes along and is like, oh, that's such a nice evil eye. I think I'm going to take it for myself, charge it to my card. Takes it. Gets a great view, and initially it seemed like Schmink might have just taken care of it, like pops up, shoots the player, shoots the evil eye, but because of how persistent those things are, they are still going to live, still going to get a great angle on any players potentially coming from the hallway. I think Gekyu, I don't know how they slipped in with the evil eye being watched, but even then, they weren't enough. The intel that KARN had, the angles that they were able to hold with the intel that they had was just too much for the defense to deal with.
Now KARN on their defensive half in the lead after their first 6 attacking rounds. A very solid spot to be in. Although not one that's totally foreign to Bank, I should say. This map can lean attacker-sided sometimes, especially if you have teams who are very good at attacking it, like KARN & Co. were. CHAWK, though, could definitely spot out some of these gaps in the defense as a basement site defense. Actually, yeah, basement site defense first, with players extending all the way up to the second floors. That's Asian by square for the time being. Falls back just a little bit, but that's one gap that could possibly be spotted out. Stock window almost about to get watched as Asian barely able to get away. You want to talk about a perfect timing on the exit. That right there is it, and that isn't in the kill feed. As Schmick shuts down Nick real quick, and Deku already into staff room. This roam clear has been expedited, and 2 players on that first floor executed. As now the execute next to up on the chopping block, but Vertical and Rice still yet to be flushed out. Matter of fact, another player on the first floor, but KARN now going to fall back down the staircase as Rice does too, because they got their trade back. And now it's really just on Vert, making sure that he's able to get one more before they're content with falling off.
Well, the good thing is that CHAWK don't have much more I think they can do. It's not really much they can get rid of. I mean, they have 2 ass charges, which means you've maybe got a Black Mirror and some castle barricades. The point of the castle barricades, you soak that up before you actually get to that Black Mirror. We'll see if that happens, but it's just going to come down to where the entry happens for CHAWK, who they're able to drone out, and where they're actually going to get that drop. So you have some players coalescing around that hatch. KARN didn't make the rotate big enough. Luckily, you've got the time to worry about that because CHAWK have just so much to work with. You can see them droning out using all of their drones. It was they had a lot before they initially started this clear. That's going to get eliminated. I'm basically working all around just that drop. I think that is deciding who's going to win or lose this round.
A lot of different angles being opened up here by CHAWK at G. With even the vault hatch getting opened up, elevator hatch, and they might actually be pivoting this. They don't want to walk into all that util. They know the gas canisters are going to be focused towards that half of the map. Rice already throws out one of his last 2. Server doorway, but that's not the side of the map you need to worry about. One player still on that half, baiting out all of that attention while Spiders dropped the elevator hatch, or rather Spider dropped in vault, HUD dropped in elevator, and Carnage is dropped in the middle of this site before everybody else. Or rather after everybody else, and KARN & Co. not quite able to make it work on the basement.
I think what worked for CHAWK is not going to work for KARN. You want to force CHAWK to do that default attack. Maybe force them to bring out that twitch that is usually designed to counter the Goyo. For some reason, that is just not working for teams. Basement has been so bad. It's 1 in 4 for the defenses, which is uncharacteristic of everything that you know about this site in general. And CHAWK decided to go to it twice. KARN & Co. are going to avoid that in general. And I think that's good because even if they did more so rely on a bit of plant denial, it's still a big risk because CHAWK know their way around this site enough to shut what KARN & Co. have on the roam down that I think it just throws the whole site into contention. So now you get to play top floor. You get to have Vert up top, potentially Asian up top as well, and not have to worry about any Maestro Evil Eyes getting taken advantage of, because that I kind of, harped upon it. That was the thing that killed CHAWK, and that is not present for KARN's defense.
Fortunate indeed is KARN & Co. Heavy emphasis on this top floor roam. We didn't really see much emphasis on the roam, at least upstairs from CHAWK when we saw them, and if there was any emphasis, it seemed that after they lost that opener, they just kind of fell back to the site and decided to cut their losses. Not something we've seen teams do a lot. In the Fluffy Sesh game, it was a lot of, we lose opener, we try and trade that back, and we die trying. In this map, we've seen a number of rounds where that's also been the case. Lots of angles getting opened up into the site courtesy of these Flores drones. and still just trying to make sure the objective itself awkward to play in, as there's only one player in the objective itself, thanks to all of that focus. That aforementioned presence upstairs all the way on that top floor, with Vertical the only other one on the first floor at all. Majority of the team focused on 2F, and seems like CHAWK kind of want to hit this direct. With all the angles they've opened up and the OSA shields they're putting down, I wouldn't put it past them.
The drone doing its work. The last round, CHAWK had a lot of drones going into the late round. Only 2 in the mid round. That's going to be difficult once you have to potentially rely on spotting any of the players, which means we are probably going to get a very late round attack. I think CHAWK is going to potentially wait for KARN and KO just to peek some angles, see if they can get some of these free kills that teams that don't have a lot of intel hope for. That's a big risk. Vert takes care of a Selma, deals with a lot, and now because CHAWK don't have any drones, they just gotta chuck some utility. Hope that either they face check it or that utility that they throw at Vert is going to be enough. Of course it's not. Vert's a pro league player. Coming back, being recently off of that team, but he knows more than enough to hold his ground and destroy anybody that comes his way.
I think the big thing about so many drones being used early is that they didn't do anything off of it. Half the team's still outside the building, not even actively challenging that second floor. And all they've really done is clear out stock, so maybe you could have an opening to try and get in open area. This is the big play, though. Schmink, the ace in the hole, rather the ace up the marble stairs, as he's walked all the way up and doesn't seem to be super noted of. However, that one shot that he pre-fires on a whim, gonna give away where he is, but he's not gonna give away his life just yet. Trade of that first pick eventually found by taking down Rice. Spider, though, killed by Asian, and the whole round going so well for KARN and Co. HUD's able to sneak into the site, doesn't manage to knock down Asian. Vertical also downed as well. Doesn't even want to finish his kill yet, though. Knows he's 1v1 against Nick, and wants to try and play that diffuser plan early, so nothing can be done about it later. But as soon as he hops up, spotted, not quite killed yet, though, by Nick, as he's gone prone. HUD trying to play this carefully, but no utility to really catch Nick Austin. No flashbangs, no smokes, no way he can get out, but he wants to fight, and he's not trapped in here with you. You're stuck in here with him. What a 1v3 for HUD.
What are you even supposed to say about that? It's going so well for KARN, especially given the fact that CHAWK had no drones. The utility was getting burned at unfortunate areas where it really wasn't going to give them any advantages. You hit your shots, kid, I guess, is the only thing at the end of the day. Is don't let HUD get into what is objectively a really good plant spot, due to the fact that when you don't have any actual utility, there's really no way that you can shut it down. I think the play, I know this is like hindsight is 2020, get Asian back up. I think I was it Nick or Asian who was down. Basically, there was a player down immediately to the right. Get that down player up. Either force the player to hop up, shoot the player, or you use that kind of 30 seconds that was on the board to get that player up, make it a 1v2, and what should be a guaranteed post plant. But like I said, hindsight is 2020. I still think KARN and Co should have won that round, given all the advantages that they had, but that was kind of a given. It's a big clutch from HUD.
It really was, and that just shows the danger of leaving that site so open for the taking, that you can win every single engagement, but you eventually have to retake. And with players so far spread out across such a big map, not quite able to kill HUD right after he hops off the plant, because Nick wasn't ready enough for it. And so now CHAWK have to attack into the second floor, fresh off an 2 attacking round wins in a row for them. KARN and Co yet to get a single round on the defense. And if they go their first 3 rounds without winning any of them, that's a problem, because number one, you've tried 3 different bomb sites and you've lost every one of them. And now you're down after you came into your defensive half, which on paper should be at least pretty solid. You came in at an advantage and you're coming out already halfway done at a disadvantage. Massive issue if KARN and Co can't win this round. Fortunately for them, though, nothing bad happening just yet. The Reaper's about to get droned up marble stairs, might just activate.
The Reaper of Death. You gotta call him that. Wow. I know that is definitely a spawn. I have just not seen that before. That is pretty nasty. That's going to allow Gekyu to get that wall open, the hallway. It's going to be looked upon. So now Asian can't really walk across it. And also Nick is stuck inside of stock as well. And as long as Gekyu holds that angle, I think CHAWK can create a really, really good pinch here. Reaper's up the stairs. Combined with that drone, there's a lot of power behind this, but as Reapers is actually scared off, Asian making the decision to push forward, gets punished, and now Marble Stairs is in control of CHAWK, combined with that hallway that is being watched by Gekyu.
Good control here for CHAWK. And KARN & Co, not the kind of team that thrives in these situations where they're down a player, and now CHAWK needs to take the initiative. KARN trying to take some initiative to swing them. Flashbang's not really working out for Gek. Eventually does flash Vert, though. Is able to get away, but now Vert playing that angle just above him. Does fall off. Let's Gek get back out of the building. And now he can possibly play that Kanto angle really well, but Vert has fallen off of that angle. And just playing towards the quad doorway all the way in the back of Banana. Gekyu not aware of this fall off just yet. He's just holding his cutoffs as the rest of his team going to try and execute through, but he thinks he has Vert trapped, but instead Vert could really do a number on these players trying to get in the window, but the Marble Stairs player shut down really quick by Nick. Now they're trying to get at him from below, but Nick's ready for everything you try and do as a double kill for him. Gek now down, Rice gonna get yet another, and the whole attack crumbles as soon as they try and break the boundaries of the site.
Nick had such an important role in that fight, with CHAWK having a kind of a tunnel vision toward the actual site itself. You could tell with Reapers just hanging over by that Marble Stairs, wanting to wait for Gekyu so they could potentially do a double push, so you could have that one trade. But Nick just walks up the stairs, is able to take out Reapers, and suddenly, with Gekyu just sprinting forward, I think the time was really just against them there, which is why Gekyu was not gone up, was not seemingly aware that Nick, a player that just killed a player, would still actually be there. And the rest is just kind of history, but I think Nick really made that round himself, which is great. There's been a lot of individual players having star moments. I mean, we have seen Hut get that clutch. We've seen Spider get those aces. We have seen Vertical have really powerful positions that CHAWK have to fight for, and he will just not let it go. This has been a good game so far, and I think we're seeing a lot of great plays from these individuals on both sides as well.
Double click my mute button and accidentally didn't mute for that last cough. That's unlucky, really.
You little thick, happy.
A little bit. Getting some allergies. The temperatures, I swear, 2 days ago it was like 80, and now it's like 55. It was like so cool all day, so no wonder I'm getting a little allergies. Anyways, chat does not care. What they care about is KARN being up one round. Oh, HUD's just allowed to do that. Simply just allowed to take the blue shield out thanks to that drone hole. Don't see it used often for countering that, but innovative. I like that out of HUD. Very creative to think to use that angle. And normally, roaming a lot more are KARN & Co. This time they've got one player at the top of blue stairs and then two playing off each other, one in open, the other one in elevator, both with hatches presumably opened right next to them, so they have quick fall-offs. And Vertical, very ready for some pressure against him here. On the edge of swinging it, but just not quite wanting to test that angle. With Asian to support in the middle of the staircase, this is going to waste a lot of time. CHAWK not super comfortable. This isn't like the last time they attacked the basement, where they were able to catch somebody way far out from the rest of their team. Instead, this is a very solid crossfire, and as soon as CHAWK start to pressure it, KARN & Co are going to fall off. They know how important it is for them to keep that man advantage, and so they don't risk it.
They're playing a lot closer to the chest. What we've seen from KARN is they have been having large extensions. They've been playing across the map. That is not the case so far. I think they're going back to the default style of basement play that we usually expect from teams, where they bring out the Goya, they bring out the smoke, and this time you've got KARN on the Maestro as well. That is so many canisters popped, and Rice is taken care of as well. That, and now Nick is stuck. It literally could not get worse at all. Tubarão is going to stop that hatch from being open, but wow. What a play from Spider. I don't think he intended to take a body down with all of that as well.
All the Zotos used, so Nick now knows he can go down at least knowing he did everything he could. Took all but 14 HP off of HUD as well. But the only kill, or not the only kill, that happened in that moment is Asian also goes down. So Rice, Nick, and Asian are all going to fall vertical, though. Standing up with a vengeance on the site, but great trade from Gekyu. Now Gekyu's position known, though. Good pre-fire. Oh, Carnage just a little bit off in the timing. If he had swung a bit sooner, maybe he would have caught Gek looking the wrong way, but instead, great flick from Gekyu. And CHAWK it even things back out in round 10.
1-5. Are we going to make it? 1-6, Karn. Going back to basement.
Really?
I have not seen a site that has been this good statistically for teams just over and over again for both sides struggling this much. I think KARN and Co. on the first time they did something where they really relied a lot more on their own. Second time it was kind of a half and half where they had the Goyo and the smoke, and this time they're just pressing their thumb. They're saying, okay, fine, you forced us. They're bringing out the mirror, bringing out the Goyo, the castle as well. I think that might be just kind of the bookend to it. Is this going to be KARN & Co.'s final operator lineup for what I would assume would be their final basement defense before we kind of throw overtime into the mix? Because this is MAC regulation. Either KARN & Co. wins both defenses or we're going to overtime, and it's hard to say who comes out on overtime because it's been 3-3 and we've seen a lot of weaknesses on both sides to kind of call who would have an advantage on either side.
With your stat, I've officially realized that a majority of the rounds we've seen played this map have been on the basement.
And they've been attack wins.
And they've been attack wins too. Kind of a given if you play that many rounds. There had to have at least been a few defender losses in there, but that is an insanely low win rate for the defense on this site. Early presence in Garage, which given how many times we've seen this site played, surprised that we've barely seen much happen in Garage at all. The attackers not really contesting for it too heavily, and the defenders playing around it to the extent they need to, leaving some passive info, but not really needing to do too much with it other than play that typical long angle that prevents the default plan. Twitch drone going to get shot out in there, so that won't be able to shoot any of the Goyos or the Miras. So it doesn't look like Rice is going to die to a Twitch drone shooting a Goyo this round, but even still. And just a couple of vectors on the first floor, waiting for opportunities in opening fights.
The bar's pretty low for Rice. Like, dying to essentially your own Twitch team's Goyo can is pretty bad. But I mean, so far, haven't lost too much utility. I think it's mainly up to CHAWK it. I think they've been a tad slower than usual, which is by design. Castle barricades are going to do that to you, and if you can kind of feign a roam up on the top, you're going to force the attack to waste a lot of time. You see HUD get flashed. This is his own team's flash, but he's slowly going to move that Talon shield up. The server side attack going decent so far. There's one Goyo canister off the board. Wall's going to get opened, and then comes the flurry of utility, which CHAWK need to start taking care of right now because that timer is ticking and that utility is still staying up.
An extra player in elevators too, and that's awesome for KARN & Co. because something that CHAWK have been doing so well is varying the angles at which they attack the bomb site. So not being able to access elevator is a big loss for them because dropping that hatch has been so good for them so consistently. Instead, they'll have to just go about this default, and that's where all of the util is stacked up for KARN & Co. They can set and forget a couple of those Goyo canisters, and by the time those expire, Rice still has a gas canister left too. Not nearly enough different angles that CHAWK will be able to go at this site with. And they're only just now flushing the elevators player out, so they're not going to be able to make a play there. And Rice kills Gekyu with a Goyo canister, but somehow the plant still goes down. Not nearly enough eyes focused on the plant itself, and so not going for those backstabs actually works in their favor because KARN were so paranoid of it that they aren't able to look at the site when the case is going down. Karn able to get a second kill on the round for his team, though, and Vert wins that fight on his Spider. Should not have lost it, but the case is still down and still solid positions in the post plant. Schmick upstairs needs to try and hold out against this retake. Great shot from HUD. Long arming, though, is Rice trying to go for the swing, but here goes HUD with a kill. Trade out from Rice, but Schmick's inside the site. He's right where the defenders don't want him, but Karn long arming from inside of server needs to be dealt with, and the wide swing from his teammates gonna make sure that cover is just fine. Nick with a late round frag and a late retake. Only a couple seconds left to spare, but it works.
I think that was kind of a spur of the moment thing, popping that Goyo canister. Initially, it seems like such a good idea, where it's like, okay, this Goyo canister is going to take care of what, in my opinion, is going to be an ideal defuse spot for the defense, until you realize that it can be, I'm not even long-armed, it just can be taken care of behind the reinforced wall, and suddenly you've locked yourself out of taking care of Nick, who's on the diffuser. I think there was a 2-second difference, and all you needed was just a couple of shots. The Goyo canister, in the post-plant situation, might be your friend, but not in that situation. So a decently close defense from KARN and Co. I think that diffuser going down was really scary, because I've talked about how bad that post plant can be for the defense, but the numbers are a strong thing. KARN and Co. right now, they are gunning. Everybody has almost 8 kills except KARN, which that's okay. He's still 5 and 7. He's doing great objectively. And KARN and Co. are going to have a lot of good guns going into those 1v1s, which, I mean, HUD had a great shot. Still wasn't enough, but I still think KARN and Co., they've got one last shot. Avoid overtime. You get those points. You need those points. You got to win it here.
I think I heard, I don't know if I think it was Crow who said about the last iteration of KARN & Co.'s roster, KARN is top fragging. That is a bad sign.
Yes,
because he does not,
Element, he
does not put himself on the enabling roles. So if KARN is your top frag, it's kind of like what happened with Fluffy Amers and JJ last game. He was top fragging, but he wasn't on the roles where those kills he was getting were super impactful. He has been playing a lot of Ying this game, so he's been early contact, I will say, but still, not a big deal. First contact here is going to be Reapers. Oh, no. Oh, the Ash, the R4C just kicking a little too hard, and he'll be kicking himself over, letting that one slip through his fingers. That was the first pick. By every metric and measure, it certainly was, but it is not. Instead, 3 HP left on Asian, and yes, he is isolated away from the site on very low health, but that's just not as good as getting a kill. And now Reaper's himself on very low HP. He's been lowered down to just 7. Spider, though, still able to get the first pick, and then another one steps up big time into the spotlight for Spider, but here comes a flank from Nick, so as he slowly creeps up on the backside, this is going to be huge, but instead Rice just able to swing wide and take down Reapers. As this top floor not being given up yet by KARN & Co., they are still persisting upstairs and still being searched after. Gekyu insistent on someone sitting inside of that conference room, but instead that's Nick, I believe, over by Banana, just waiting for a walk up the lobby stairs, not aware that someone's right behind him. And Asians killed Spider inside of open. Everybody dropping down away from the second floor except for Nick. They're not ready for him upstairs at all. Gekyu walks up the marble stairs to try and trade him out, but instead now dishes it back down because it's just not going to work out. Nick on a retreat, finally caught though, and it's a 2-on-2.
I think CHAWK have lost vision. Initially, you get that great roam clear up top, but then you lose sight of where Asian is, of where Nick and Rice are, and so you have that flank. It's gotten stopped at a great time, because now Rice and Asian, scratch that, only Asian on 3 HP up against a collective 175 HP to deal with. A tall task to avoid overtime. Don't know if he can do it, but it's going to have to come in the form of headshots.
And he just gave away where he was. So now, position absolutely expected. Bert being opened up. Schmick might be able to just see him through the roof. And he does. But a great shot from Asian. Good trade, though, from Gekyu. And CHAWK it plays so well to trade each other out. Early advantage not thrown later on. And the Type 89 makes sure CHAWK it secure overtime.
If he's got more HP, I think he's got a decent chance in there. But overtime, here we go. 3 potential rounds. KARN & Co. start on the defense. don't go to the basement.
I'll do it.
Smartest decision I think we have seen all night so far. But I think it's hard to say whether this means a lot for KARN and Co. in the wide scheme of things, because after today, they have 2 more games tomorrow up against Aerial Arise and Wildcard Aces. Reminder as well, they are currently barely hanging on. They have 3 points in 6th place, and up next is Aerial Arise with 6. So, I mentioned that they need every point that they can get. Absolutely do, because going into tomorrow up against the teams that they're facing, not exactly the easiest thing in the world, especially given that they are playing Aerial Arise, which could be a must-win given the current scenario that KARN find themselves in. Guaranteed 1 point. Need to get those 2 just to make things a bit easier on yourself.
Also, with an extra game to play tomorrow over Aerial, so any points you can get here help. There is a world in which you lose to Aerial tomorrow and can still beat them out in the playoff race. It would need to kind of be a close loss, because Aerial, if they get to 9, are officially out of reach for KARN and Co. now that they're in OT in this game. Also because of the head-to-head. So if they had ended up on maybe 8 points and KARN would end up on, let's say 5 after this, that'd be 6, and then they could clean 3-0 win. They could still cleanly take it over Aerial. So points here are going to matter a lot. Game against Aerial tomorrow going to be even more important, but still. It's kind of like what we were watching earlier with the Sesh game, where Sesh were able to get that win. Puts them in a great spot against Outlast. Now, they don't really need to hope on a 3-0 win. Maybe they could hope for just a win in general.
Muchammer gets deployed, or gets destroyed, excuse me. The Twitch run has been just so devastating in all of the sites. See Rice trying to find that small little angle to get rid of it. Luckily for KARN and Co, the only real thing that they have to worry about is going to be those black mirrors. Those getting destroyed on this site aren't the worst thing in the world. Asian, goodbye, my friend. You are dead. Frag grenade, 2 players in front of you. You are not surviving that. Doesn't do much, but not even take health, because now you've got the Finka that's immediately going to sap that away. You haven't even wasted time. The Twitch drone is there. It's getting worse for KARN and Co by the second.
And this quick pace from CHAWK, not something that KARN had really been able to respond to all day. First and last rounds of their attacking half in regulation, CHAWK up to the pace, had 1 or 2 players very far forward, very fast. And both times it netted an opening pick, eventually netting round wins for CHAWK in both of those cases. Could still happen here as Carnage walks with a C4 out directly into the line of sight of HUD. That is just a funny thing to see from his perspective, quite frankly. Not sure if HUD could tell he had the C4 out or not. I'd imagine that if he could have told that it was the case, there would be a message in the chat right now. But 45 seconds left to go. Gek starting to get the plant down, something CHAWK haven't done nearly as much as KARN were able to do. And the plant actually going to be denied, but HUD consistently trading everything out. Vert able to get a trade to respond to the 2 trades that happened before him, and that one's still yet to be responded to, though, as he's very wary of this threat inside of Janitor. It's HUD sitting in there. If he pops his head a little higher up, it'll be over. Direct impact to the flashbang, gonna deal 5 damage to Vertical. But for now, HUD just watching to make sure that Vert can't make the cross happen. Now that Schmink's got the plant down, HUD could easily get out to the windows as Schmink tries to just play his life, but HUD actually gonna try and play the Vertical instead. Schmink pops up from the other side of the desk, just trying to bait out a couple of shots. Does spot Vert down to just 32 health. The lowest player alive in terms of HP by far still remaining, and Schmink will eventually take him down with the pocket marksman doing the trick. And CHAWK G get 1 round to the good on their first attack in OT.
Despite the fact that it's been 3-3 on both sides, it's felt like an attacker-sided map through and through. But the attackers, no matter what, kind of set the stage for what the inevitable result will be. And the Twitch drones do a lot of the moving of set pieces, destroying of utility, droning out as well, because a lot of times you are going to have the attackers follow through on those Twitch drones. CHAWK have made the decision to go back to basement. So that means either we are going to see 1 in 7 rounds. Either way, half of this game has been on basement. 1 has been won by the defense.
No, it was 2.
It was 2?
KARN won their last defensive round with the long arm defuse around the corner.
Oh, yes, that is right.
Yep.
That is right. So, I get that's still not good for CHAWK.
Yeah, no, that's one of the 2 defender rounds that have been won, and it was barely.
And it wasn't
a 5-on-2.
CHAWK.
It was a 5-on-2 retake. Yeah, and CHAWK didn't win it either. So,
it's still not good to go here. I think whether or not the crazy stat of 1 in 7 is not true. Which
I mean,
is
having won any site at all in that half. I mean, so
Once.
I think they won this site once, and then they won another site once. So I guess statistically speaking, maybe
Yeah,
they
but they
felt
went
confident about it. Yes, but you
went
know
to
what?
basement a
I'll
lot
play
more.
devil's advocate here. They played basement twice with the same Mira strat that didn't work. They then switched the strat, and it worked pretty well. So I think they're just trying to play around that adaptation that they made, which I think is a good idea. Look at what they're doing again. What they did so well last time they were on this site was fight for open area, make sure it was hard for the attackers to get in the building. Reapers was droned there, but I don't know if they saw him. I think the outline was still tucked in by the corner. And this is exactly what they were doing so well. They were catching them off guard, but no, the SMG-12! You can't miss that opportunity! No! No, Reapers!
Oh no. Was it Reapers who missed the shot earlier on Asian?
Round 11, or no, round 12, last round of regulation. He walked up marble, missed there.
All right.
It's just been a rough recoil day for Reapers, I cannot lie.
The worst part about it is I think with both of those sprays, 1 bullet is all he needed.
Yep.
And it would have been it's killer because unlike the last time that he missed those, it is an active detriment because Reapers deals that damage and then dies for it. Because it's not like last time where you just maybe lose a couple time, lose a bit of map control that you otherwise would have taken. No, this actively helps KARN and Co. It's going to allow him to take care of a player. Look at the destruction that they're able to do with Nick, all of the fire that's on the ground, and because of what CHAWK brings, they've only really got the smoke canisters that are in the pocket of HUD, and there's still 60 seconds, and HUD now has to start to deploy them because KARN and Co. are going to start to play the time-wasting, utility-wasting game that is this site.
And KARN and Co. with minimal extra angles. Look at this, 4 guys stacked up on the CC hatch, not even trying to feign presence elsewhere. As a drone down marble, maybe just try and make them believe that it might be somewhere else. Candelas go in, only really a couple of them though. HUD's gonna kill Rice with a gas canister, and then the walk down marble really the only thing that'll try and throw this attack off. But because of all that cover on the CC hatch, nobody's able to spot KARN, and they can't swing him or else that's gonna happen. KARN himself gets the plant down, and then takes matters into his own hands with 3 in the post plant alone. Wonderful masterclass from the IGL himself.
Now it's just everybody's having a good game. Especially on KARN. Like, everybody's putting up numbers. I think everybody's close to putting up double digits as well. It is actually KARN who are going to take a timeout. Yeah, so KARN is the only person who does not have double digits on this team. Like, it is massively impressive, the amount of numbers that KARN is able to put up.
He's got impact frags.
I know that is the difference, and we're still 7-7. KARN, by and large, have a fragging advantage. They got more kills, and we are still equal at the end of the day. It's up to wherever KARN wants to go. Do they want to try basement? That 5v2 retic that you talked about. It's the only time they've won there. Have to avoid the CEO. So it's open area, which I think could go well. We've seen them once.
We sure
there
it's
before.
open area? Look at this team comp. I feel like they're going basement.
Is that actually that it might be indicative?
I
didn't know.
I feel
if,
like that
if,
indicates basement.
It does indicate basement. I was just thinking of if they wanted to avoid the basement side, what would they bring out? They do bring out the basement side. It's looking like it's going to be a very basement-sided hold. You mainly have the Meister for playing downstairs. The only person who I could see maybe extending would be Nick. And even then, you might have him playing Override Garage, which initially we saw CHAWK bring, and that was pretty effective.
Yeah, I think what they do, so what they've been doing sometimes through the game is Asian open, or just whoever's on Goyo and open, with with vertical in this case would be on elevator, and then you maybe have some support from the players downstairs. But yeah, we do see Two Morale sometimes extend upstairs to try and delay the opening of the open hatch and delay the opening of the janitor hatch, both of which make it hard to play inside of open at the risk of getting dropped at any moment, as well as getting walked on, which is something CHAWK have been doing a lot. Given how CHAWK have been clearing these rooms, I do kind of want to see KARN just play anchor, because the roams don't normally tend to go super well for KARN and Co. That's where they tend to do really well, and then CHAWK struggle to break the boundaries of the site itself. And when you think about some of the rounds that CHAWK have been doing well in, it's because they're able to set a quick pace, get an early frag or two, and then control the rest of the round. And so KARN are kind of giving them that opportunity to still do that by extending so far off. And maybe they're not going to play here for the rest of the round, right? Very likely that they could just shoot a couple drones, fall closer back to the site, and then fall back, making sure it's a 5-on-5, which they have been prioritizing when they go for these roams on the basement site. But it's a matter of understanding what has been helping CHAWK a lot, which is that quick control, quickly getting into the map, and look at what they're doing right now.
Zooming through. Gex gotta
Nobody's here though. Oh, wait,
yeah,
Nixon
Gex gotta
open.
be careful. Rice is very close on the blue. It's going to get open. Rotero's there as well. So HUD backs off. CHAWK are not going to be wasting any time. They want to make sure that they can utilize every single second that they have. I don't think they're being careless.
Uh-oh.
It might come back to bite them. Verticals dropped. Good opening kill there by Schmink. I don't know if it was actually from the feed, because Vertical did die before we actually got to look at whether there was footprints. But regardless, player's gone. Blue's taken care of. Asian is going to be there for the refrag. Reapers is gone, which means a lot of explosive power in the pocket of the Ash has been taken care of, along with a Twitch drum, which is gone. And I think a majority of the basement utility is still alive, kicking. There's a lot to be done with CHAWK. Do they have the utility to actually deal with it?
I think that was actually a fight up the hatch, too, so not even really an overextension from Reapers. Has been a rough end of the game for him. He started off pretty strong. And losing that pick there could be influential, because coming into this with a man advantage, then you have extra room to flex players towards Garage, or towards Elevator, or towards a gold drop, which is what has been going so well for CHAWK, going for those exterior plays and trying to catch the defense off guard. Instead, still being delayed by some of the Zoto canisters and 3 gas canisters left in pocket. So they can't just walk at this from server. It is going to need to be drops of other hatches into the bomb site. Seems to be something that KARN and Co. are prepared to do, though, is they've already got a couple of sites trained on those backside positions. You've got Asian ready for a marble stairs play. Nick and Gold ready for a drop of that hatch. And so that's what's going to need to happen for CHAWK, but they may well get gunned down in the process. 20 seconds to go, still 1 gas canister left, and not even a fully open default plant. So the case of Spider's just going to have to try and drop the hatch and see what it can get done. He's actually running forward and planting in a very off position. Might actually be able to get seen here, but the smokes are actually blocking the line of sight. Good kill for Nick, traded back by Schmick. Schmick with a triple, going huge inside of lockers, and it was those exterior drops that worked well, but Schmick eventually dropped back down. And Nick also going to get one, or rather Nick and Asian each going to get one. It's left only to HUD, top frag for his team, other than Schmick, but he's got a way better KD. And has had some impactful clutches already. Needs to make it work. And look at this. CHAWK, the element of surprise and the element of random is so effectively used to their own benefit that they're trying to clear out the site. There's only 15 seconds left. They have no clue where this guy is. HUD's just sitting and open, but he drops! What? Why would you drop? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You could have just watched the hatch. I know they just C4'd it, but they had this little 7-second defuse, and they hadn't even hopped on it yet. Why are you dropping the hatch? I don't know.
I was so winnable, Happy.
It really was. It really was.
I was so winnable.
It really was, man.
I feel uninspired, unmotivated. because
And we have another game to cast.
I mean, the C4 was a very good play. Just
for sure.
having a form of just pushback to clearly no idea where that final player was, and even whether or not the C4 actually connected. You said it a wide draw. What?
My voice has never cracked that bad on a broadcast before, but I don't even really care because it's just kind of I don't know.
That is the game. That is the game.
They hadn't even like hit the case yet.
They didn't.
Wait,
it was literally just throw the C4, player gets on it. I think he's on for like 1.5 seconds. Player drops. Why? Was it like a case of like, oh, I may be hurt? Case, I don't know. Why did you drop? Why?
I don't know. We don't have interviews, so we can't ask HUD why he dropped it. Even still, we would have interviewed somebody on KARN anyways. But instead, KARN are able to pull 2 full points out of that one. Big for them. CHAWK have already secured at least a spot in the LCQ. So that's, well, at least a silver lining out of that game. Plenty to learn from that matchup as well. But KARN and Co. now go into tomorrow with their 2 games with a lot on the line. But a team that still has a lot on the line tonight is Team Sesh and Outlast Black as well. We're going to watch Team Sesh versus Outlast Black to see who's going to get that last spot in the LCQ out of Group A. Make sure you stay right here because a lot of stakes and a lot riding on this next game.
Put you in the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry in the name of love. When you ride with me, don't gotta worry when tomorrow comes. I'll put you in the driver's seat. Don't gotta hurry now, 'cause we stay in control in the name of love.